Hi, so today we will talk about some of the feature that Oracle has introduced in their latest Oracle 23C and 23 AI. So I will talk about the feature on both databases. I mean they are introduced in 23 and now they are migrated from 23C to 23 AI. So as I demonstrate in previous video that I have configured my VM. This is my VM notepad. So this is the VM we have configured on Windows, and I have assigned it a static IP. You can easily assign it so that I can access it from the outside of VM, because on local host there is difficulties related to performing some task, although we can perform that, but it is better that you can access from outside the VM and make that VM up and running. So for a complete guide they have provided, you can open this readme file. I have opened that. So they mention the information here, all the passwords I already go through that. So let's connect our external machine SQL Developer. So if we talk about SQL Developer, I have downloaded it from Oracle website. This is the highly recommended IDE by the Oracle. You can follow this link, and 64-bit included JDK. I have already downloaded and extracted that. Let me make a connection. So we will use the HR schema. The password is Oracle. At the local host I will use my IP. That static IP I have assigned to my VM. The default port they have mentioned is 1521. You can see. And for service we will use free PDB1. So for our PDB we will use free PDB1, and the second one is free. They have mentioned on their document. So it's a free, and we'll test. Here we don't have HR schema, so we will use system and the sys schema for our system level task, sysdba. That's it. So we will use Oracle and HR role as a default, free PDB1, and connect. So as you know that on this latest database Oracle 23C and 23 AI, Oracle has more than 300 new features they have introduced. So we will talk about some of major we have frequently used. So for the first, let me describe that. So as you know that in our previous versions we will use from dual. So now they have eliminated the from dual clause, so we can just use and the task such like this 2 1 2 3. So let me create a function. Return text and compile. So if I have to call this function, I can simply use and that's it. Hi, so from 23C and 23AI, the database Oracle has a new data type. So they have introduced a Boolean data type. You can say Boolean, which is true or false. So how we use that? So let's create an example from this table. So as for now, this has no data type of Boolean. Let me create. I'm picking some data so that I can show you by an example. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so for this data, let's create a table of this. Create. So we will have a backup now as a table name T, so that we can alter some values. It may not affect our standard table. I will use update T. I will enter these two employee IDs employee number. So let's make their date by plus 365 days. So now let's add a column, alter table t add long term as Boolean. So I'm adding this column long term as a mention that we have an employee in our this T table for far more time, working as a longer time, and that employees is a very valuable to that organization. So for that we will alter our table with the long term column adding, and I will update that T with setting that value. So whichever employee is lower than 1982 date as their hire date, we will update that false. So for that just execute this query, and now I query my table, and you can see there are some employees that are true in Boolean sense, and some are false, and they have some department also. So we will categorize that employees now. So let's say that we need to find some employees in our department. I mean the maximum age employee by department wise. So I will use here long term and group by department number. So basically this example is about we can use this Boolean function in some aggregation also. Let me order that by 1. So you can see under department number 10 there is 0 valued, or you can say longer or higher date employee, and in 20 and 30 there is 1. So by this example we have found out that the department 10 has no long-term employees, and department 20 and 30 has some. But what if I want to drill down that if there is all long-term employees, or some are long-term, some are short-term in department 20 and 30. So I will use, I'm just making some examples so you can understand better. So I just executed the query now where has maximum long term and minimum long term. So you can see in 20 all are 0 because there is no long term employees in in 10, and in 20 we have maximum 1 and minimum 0. That means that are mixed, and in 30 there are only long term employees. We can also it's D name, not department name. D name. So you can see the accounting department has no long term, research has some long term, some short term, and the sales department is now at the top with all long term. But we can let me create some query that make a sense in more. So we will also use in where case clause. So case when so this query creation make a sense in more. So this query is now more making a sense that we have no long-term employees in our result. So you can see this query is now making a more sense that we have no long-term employees in our department. 10 in 20 there are mixed, in 30 we have all long-term. So let shorten this query, because in 23 AI Oracle they have introduced a Boolean with or aggregation, and in the same way we also have a Boolean and aggregation. So these are the standard function they have introduced in Oracle 23C 23 AI. In C we have that option, we can do that, but in 23 AI they have these functions. So these function just behave like so you can say that aggregation Boolean values in a logical OR function or in a logical AND function. If both are if we have two values and both are true, then true. If one of them is true, then for OR case it will be true. So just for making this query in a shorter way, let me create the example. I will copy that, and I will write a new line. So you can see we comment these a long condition, and we create a OR function where we have, if any one of them is true, then it will show us a true. In this way we have created our query in a shorter sense, and we have these function in our new 23 AI. Okay, so in our next video we will discuss some new features of Oracle 23C, and there's some enhancement in 23 AI. So Oracle 23 bring excited new enhancements that we have in our SQL query development. So in our previous database release, we know that we will use group by and having clause in our query. So from 23C we can utilize that column and you can say column alias as a group by and as a having clause. So I have write down a standard query where I have select my object name, my object type, the object created date with a created alias, and a counter. So I am grouping it by the same as we have in our previous practice. So you can see the same two char created. So I'm not referencing any alias here. And the same in having clause, I have count 1 same as it as this, and I'm making it greater than 10 order by a counter, and you can see that counter I'm using an alias now, and I'm fetching only 20 rows. So let's execute this query. So we have our indexes, our object details here. So from 23C we have some new feature, that is referencing that alias as an our group by clause. So I'm copying this and I will replace this with my complete query that is here. So now if I query that, so you can see it's giving us the same result, and in the same way I'm using my counter, my alias in my having clause. So I have replaced this alias, this as alias in a having clause, and we have order by already with an alias that we was also used in our previous versions. Okay, the same result we have now. The more function they have created for as of developer is referencing that column, because like here I can use also that order by 4. So 4 mean our 4 column name, fourth column name. Our first is object name, second is object type, third is created alias, and the fourth is counter. So if I use in our order by 4, so you can see it's giving the same result. And in the same way that that column reference number we also use in our group by clause. So let me create a copy of this, and this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So now if I execute this, it give me an error, because we have to alter our session by setting the group by position enable. So let me alter the session. Set group by position enabled. So you can set it as at session level or at system level. So now if I execute this query, I am also using my object reference number in my group by clause. So overall this enhancement give us a way to develop our query in a more efficient way, because that was a huge need for the development of query.